Let your rage fuel you. Every time we hear a new story, we let it fuel us. Every time we turn on the news, we let it fuel us. Every time something bad is happening, we say, oh, that's motivation.
Remember that? That's candidate Spanberger, Miss Moderate herself, telling her supporters last year on the campaign trail to let their rage fuel them. And you know what? Republicans have decided to take her advice and are letting the rage Spanberger and her fellow Democrats here in Virginia have spun up to fuel them. And the Supreme Court of the United States of America just gave them all the kindling and accelerant the GOP needs. On Wednesday, the Supreme Court held that states cannot use race as a dominant factor in drawing congressional districts. Let the redistricting of our red states begin. Welcome to Smart Girl Politics. I'm Terry Christoph, a fed-up Gen Xer and frustrated, ticked-off Virginian who's worked behind the scenes for years in conservative media and decided right now is the time to get behind the microphone and start talking with you all about the truth. Let's dive in. Now, the Supreme Court decision that just happened on Wednesday in Louisiana versus Callais won't have much of a direct impact on Virginia, but to be sure, the recent actions of Virginia Democrats, led by Abigail Spanberger herself, will have a huge effect on what happens next, and that is not good news for Democrats. My friend Cameron Arcand over at the Daily Wire wrote this up. Supreme Court rules on key district case with ripple effects nationwide. Ripple effects are going to be the fun part for us. The Supreme Court delivered a major 6-3 ruling Wednesday, striking down Louisiana's congressional map in Louisiana versus Callais after the state added a second majority black district. The court said that move wasn't required under the Voting Rights Act, so using race to draw it made the map unconstitutional. The decision doesn't eliminate Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, but could impact redistricting fights nationwide. The court is signaling that states can't lean on race unless the law clearly demands it. That's likely to make it harder to push similar redraws in other states and could shift how future maps are drawn heading into upcoming elections. And in the majority opinion, Justice Samuel Alito explained that Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act of 1965 was designed to enforce the Constitution, not collide with it. In other words, red states, and particularly those in the South, now have legal standing to redraw their maps. And these red states are using their rage. Abigail said, Grabby Abby said, let your rage fuel you. So they are using their rage against the Democrat-led effort to gerrymander the congressional map of Virginia. They're using that rage, national Republicans. It's going to fuel them. And hey, it's what the Democrats wanted. Let's take a look at what Christian Hines, he is what does he call himself? The Virginia Oracle. He's one of the best accounts to follow over on X. So here's what he said. I may have understated what we're allowed to get away with next. And this is in following the Supreme Court's decision in Calais. There's no reason for Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, Mississippi, and Louisiana itself to all draw new congressional maps immediately. The Supreme Court may have just overturned one congressional district in Louisiana, but we probably have the opening to draw out as many Dem seats in the South as we want. There are at least 9 Dem-held congressional seats in states with GOP majorities that we can eliminate almost immediately. The only drawback is many of these states are probably too far into the primary process to take effect in 2026. And I'll make a note on that to talk about at the end. Christian also says it's time to immediately dismantle the southern DEI districts. Democrats should not be allowed to continue to gerrymander multiple red states and steal nearly 10 free congressional seats every 2 years. This ruling does not entirely throw out Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. It's only a partial win. We need red states like Alabama and South Carolina to draw new maps and directly challenge the rest of the law in order to give the Supreme Court another shot at entirely gutting Section 2. And it seems that a lot of these states are happy to oblige. Here we learn that multiple Georgia Republicans are pushing for a special session to redraw the state's 9 9R 5D congressional map and squeeze out more GOP seats. See what the Virginia Democrats started? Then there's Tennessee. Marsha Blackburn, who is a sitting senator for Tennessee, who's also running for governor, said, "I urge our state legislature to reconvene to redistrict another Republican seat in Memphis. It's essential to cement real Donald Trump's agenda and the golden age of America. I vowed to keep Tennessee a red state, and as governor, I'll do everything I can to make this map a reality." And our friends down in Florida already got a head start today. They have passed a map that Governor DeSantis has been pushing that looks a little bit like this. And if you don't think that this has anything at all to do with what the Democrats are doing here in Virginia with their incredibly gerrymandered map, you might think twice about that. So it's looking more and more likely that the $100 million that was dumped into Virginia by the left from outside dark sources that was to get the referendum passed last week is wasted money. And it seems like maybe some of the rage that fueled the Virginia Democrats was also wasted rage right there. The entire thing is blowing up in their faces, and Democrats, needless to say, are not very happy about it. I see.
These midterms are so high stakes that anybody who thinks they can take advantage, on the state level of this decision, there is going to be a scramble to see if they can, because each side thinks this is an existential midterm with the House especially.
Yeah.
Funny, I don't recall the Democrats or the CNN panels, save maybe Scott Jennings, being too concerned about the confusion here in Virginia over the maps. Abigail Spanberger made sure that the gerrymandered map was not being displayed at polling places across the Commonwealth. They weren't too concerned about that, were they? So, cry me a river. And here's a helpful visual just to see what some of those immediate effects could be. Needless to say, this is not likely what Virginia Democrats thought was going to happen once they really pushed this power grab here in Virginia, and it's coming back to bite them in their butt, and I am here for it. Bottom line here is that we're not sure if any of this is going to impact the 2026 midterm elections, but it's looking very likely that the GOP, who seems to have some fight in them, which could be the most exciting part about all of this, will be able to shore up a decent majority in the United States House of Representatives in 2028 and beyond. They have a very slim majority right now, and it seems like fueled by the Democrats and their power mad gerrymandering in Virginia, they're going to be getting some seats back. And what to look for? You guessed it, more cheating by the Democrats. If they can't win by the rules, they're going to change the rules. They're not going to be happy about this. The cheating's going to be rampant, so we have to keep our eyes on that, and we, of course, will. And I want to make sure, please, before we go, be sure to leave me a comment down in the comment section. Do you think Virginia Democrats foresaw this Supreme Court ruling coming down the pike, and do you think they're regretting pushing so hard? Because I think it's coming back to bite them in the butt. I want to make sure that you're all caught up on the legal wrangling that's going on here in Virginia over the gerrymandered map. So be sure to check out the video that I'm going to link to next. It's got the latest on the oral arguments that took place earlier this week in front of the Supreme Court of Virginia. It did not go well for Democrats. The justices had some really good and pointed questions for them, so you want to check that out. So go to that link. And friends, that is all for now. Again, I am Terry. This is Smart Girl Politics. I'm happy you're here. Like, subscribe, do all the things, but for sure leave me a comment. I want to see what part of Virginia you're from, or maybe you're from another part of the South or from another part of the United States. Let me know what you think about the craziness with this Supreme Court decision. I think it's pretty exciting. And again, it's really nice to see the Republicans have some fight in them. So I will see you guys next time. And as always, be safe out there. Bye.